At the peak of Bald Mountain, shadows gather and ride. At the peak of Bald Mountain, a primeval being weaves matter out of the phantom night sky. Atop Bald Mountain, he who is named after the darkness of his own heart emerges as the conductor to an apocalyptic rhapsody of shadows. A body made of the deepest tenebrosity known to man, with wings able to eclipse the sun, bringer of light to the world and his most hated rival, with horns atop his head, crowning him as the Emperor of Shadows, and piercing glowing eyes, whose shine escapes the shade that surrounds Chernabog, the dark god of the Disney universe. Welcome to Rebel Culture, where today we will look at one of the most mysterious and evil characters in the Disney pantheon of villains. If you enjoy the content, please subscribe and hit the like button underneath the video. We really appreciate it. But now, back to the video. You might think you know the darkness of this universe. You, after all, have seen an evil witch curse a sleeping beauty to eternal slumber. You might think that having witnessed the rise of a dark Lion King named Scar and the collapse he brought to Pride Rock made you privy to the inner workings of wickedness. You, who stood aghast as the Titans were released from their terrible Tartarus, might think yourself knowledgeable of the existence of dark gods. Yet what you know are but fragments of a vastly larger shade. You have seen but the comfortable darkness that incites sleep, not the engulfing tenebrosity that holds hearts hostage at night, as your brain wonders what must be lurking in them. These beings, be them the maleficent witch of darkness, the usurper Lion King, or the god of the underworld, are but backdrops of gentle shades to make the light of our heroes shine brighter. These are villains, but he, the monster atop Bald Mountain, is evil incarnate. Not much is known in the Disney canon about the being known as Chernabog, but his brief and tremendously impactful appearance during the 1940s movie Fantasia tells us a little bit about this being of darkness. In the movie, his terrible deeds were documented as a backdrop to the orchestral piece adequately named Night at Bald Mountain, Ave Maria. This piece was constructed to incite the duality of nature, the darkness of Chernabog and the light of sunrise that ushers him away, the evil that grows on every man as the night is cast, as identity is lost in the shadows, and the goodness that emerges as a new day breaks. The profane nature of the denizens of the darkness, be them skeletal vultures, witches, and the undead, contrasted by the holy notion of sunrise that is accompanied by Schubert's Ave Maria. During the early piece, Night at Bald Mountain, the figure known as the God of Darkness emerges as he begins commanding the night, as if conducting the orchestral piece itself, as if the heart-racing piece was giving him the power he needs for what he's about to do. Chernabog begins casting shadows over the city that lies at the skirts of Bald Mountain, and brings forth the denizens of the night, beings made of pure evil, like undead skeletons, filthy rats, and other monsters. These beings engage in furious dance around Chernabog, who remains immersed himself in the intricate conducting of his dark ritual. Chernabog then guides his minions to a flame of his own making, using them as kindling to a fire that might engulf the world. However, his evil plans, whatever they might be, are thwarted as the light of a new day pierces the darkness of this god of the shade, and drains his power. The angelic voices of a choir singing Ave Maria also drown out the dark tones of the previous piece. As Chernabog collapses, the sun rises as a holy crown to the mountain, and so it is a new god of light that claims the peak. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, give it a like and consider subscribing to Rebel Culture. We have tons of content that you might find interesting. But now, let's get back to the video. So, I believe our first question should be, who, or rather what, is Chernabog? Well, you might be surprised to find out that Chernabog is not an original character created by Disney, but rather it is based on a similar being of the same name native to the pre-Christian Slavic folklore. The etymology of his name evokes his roles in Slavic belief as the dark god or the god of darkness, with Cherna meaning black or dark and Bog meaning god. Not a whole lot is known about the part that Chernabog played in Slavic mythology, but analyzing it from the dualistic perspective of Christianity, many scholars are inclined to associate Chernabog as the evil god that contrasts the god of light, sometimes referred to as Belobog. This dualistic nature of the pre-Christian Slavic folklore is not 100% guaranteed to be an accurate representation of how the ancient believers of this lore actually articulated their understanding of the pantheon, since many believe that this interpretation of Belobog and Chernabog is affected by the Christian duality of heaven and earth, and of course, the battle between God and Lucifer. The Disney version of Chernabog is, however, tremendously inspired by this interpretation of Slavic belief, since Chernabog is shown as being the commander of shadows and beings of the night, that gets defeated by the light of a new day. The orchestral piece also represents another duality, that is directly validated by the creator and animator of the piece, that being the existing schism between the pagan and the holy. Chernabog in this piece is depicted as a god of a pagan nation. In this case, we might guess that Disney animator refers to those pre-Christian Slavic beliefs, and as the Bald Mountain orchestral piece gets overtaken by the Ave Maria, a new status quo is set in. This not only symbolizes the defeat of a god of darkness at the hands of a heavenly light, but also outlines the transition of the Slavic folk from the pagan beliefs of their ancestry towards the Christian doctrine that now is commonplace in the Balkans. I believe Chernabog stands as Disney's most vivid representation of true evil. For how conniving their villains are, there is always a modicum of humanity in them. Be them the envy of Scar at Mufasa, something every living person has experienced, the fear in Jafar's eyes as he is bound to the lamp in Aladdin, or the crippling fear of death that affects Mother Gothel in Tangled. But none of them is as fundamentally inhuman as Chernabog. After all, we can understand a villain's desire for power, youth, and riches. But the darkness that gathers atop Bald Mountain is just profoundly foreign to the human experience. The writhing bodies of the undead and the witches that dance around Chernabog's bonfire also stand as terrible and otherworldly beings that repudiate any human characteristics. Chernabog is a fantastic representation of pure evil that everyone should know about. I like this age of moral relativism in films, where creators are encouraged to bring some humanity and pathos into the villains of their stories, essentially making truth of that old saying, every villain believes themselves to be the hero of their own story. But that also is a representation of some aspects of our society possibly becoming more and more morally compromised, since even the worst people will have a rationale after their own terrible acts, something that should never serve as an excuse. However, we will always have that wonderful creation of Fantasia's Chernabog to point out at and wholeheartedly agree in saying, there, that is unquestionable evil, pure darkness incarnate. The further that I am from that thing, the better. I think it is adequate that at the end of the piece in the Fantasia movie culminates with the rising sun of a new day, signifying a new chance to stand further away from the evil that so often we see around us, a chance to be better, a chance we should take every day. Thank you for watching Rebel Culture. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe to the channel. We have some content that you might enjoy. Since you seem to enjoy the dark corners of some franchises, I recommend you to check out our video on Pokémon's Dark God. Whatever you choose, we hope you enjoy it. Thank you once again, and I will see you in the next video.